In this video, we're now going to delete an entire entity. So previously we deleted a component of an entity, which was just updating the map to remove one of the components. However, now if we want to delete the entire component, instead of us having to go in and set everything to be like a none, we're just going to update the map. And maybe the player killed this invincible enemy somehow, and now we can just set its map to 0. When we do that, the queries will still work because the queries use the map to determine what components to get out. So basically, it's almost as if this entity doesn't really exist. Now the data is still taking up memory locations, but we'll take care of that potentially in the next video for when we can refactor some things. So let's do an integration test and see how this works. So we're going to go into our tests, entities, add a new test for this is going to be deleting an entity. Now we're going to have to delete the entity by ID. And so let's just assume we're going to return a result. I'm pretty sure we're going to need to. Let's build up our test here. So world equals world new. We're going to register some components. So we're actually just going to do the same thing that we have here. So register location and size. We're going to create an entity with this component. That's going to be fine. We can create two entities with component location. That's going to be fine. Now I don't need to do this entire add component thing. We don't need that. What we do need to do now is just delete one of the components and then do a query and make sure that we're only getting one of them and it's the correct one. So let's make sure that you are what we expect you to be. So let's maybe set you to be like a 20 and 25. So if we now do a world dot maybe like delete entity by ID, we'd expect to now be able to like delete that ID. So we know, let's see, you're going to be the first ID here. So let's delete the first one. So ID 0. I don't know if this is going to be a question mark thing or not. I think that it is going to be. Because, what happens if there is no ID of 0? That will probably have to be an error. Okay, so after we do that, we delete our entity. If we do a query now, we should only get one of these. And we should specifically only get this one. So let's now query equals world.query with components. We want just locations. Okay, so we should expect the length here to be 1. Okay, so we can assert equal the create, let's see, what is this going to be? Our query of position 0, length, you should be 1. Okay. The other things from this is we should be able to get this data out of it, and that should be a 20 and 25. So let's go ahead and extract that out as well. So this will be that wrapped, that it's going to be the wrapped, right? So wrapped locations equals, it's going to be query of position 1 So that gives us, okay, this vector. We have to do this as a ref, I think. What are you? You're a vec. Wait, query position 1 is that. That's not our U sizes. Okay, so query position 1 gives us this vec. Oh, query position 1, we know it's a length of 1, so of 0. And then we have this RC here. Now, remember that our queries at this point in time, we don't have the options in them. So we should be fine. And then we can just borrow from here. Doesn't look like it. Oh, right, because then this is the location. So we need to do 0. And then we can borrow. Let's see if that actually allows us to do this. Because I don't know if it will, it might like yell at us about taking ownership of this. So first of all, let's like add this in here. Let's also add in an okay at the end. So delete entity by ID. We're gonna go into main library and add this function in. And we're taking the index, which is this usize. And we're going to turn this result. And we'll just start with an okay like this, just to make the compiler happy. All right, so you're not unhappy with me, so I should have access to this. So let's do wrapped locations. Let's now access this. So we should be able to just downcast it, I think. So specifically, this is a wrapped location. Oh, we need to, let's see, so we borrowed it. So this is actually a borrowed location, not a wrapped location. So let our location is equal to our borrowed location. We're gonna downcast ref this. We're going to turn this into a location. And that should be unwrappable. Okay, so now we have this location. And we should be able to do an assert equal for location of position 0. You should be. Now we deleted. Where was it? Delete entity. Okay, so we deleted entity 0. So this one should be the one left, which is this 20 and 25. So you should be 20.0. Okay, great. Now, if we add another one in, I expect that it would have index of 0 for us. So let's also make sure that that exists. So if we now do another world.createEntity with component, and this is going to be our okay, so create entity with component. What data do we want? Probably just like a location. That'll be fine. Location of, do like 30.0 and 35.0 to be consistent here. And that's all I really care about doing this for this. So now, if I did another query, we should have 2. We know that's going to happen. But I should really be able to grab this information out here. And see, okay, so query. Oh, we do need to do another query to get this out. Okay, so we created you. So we create an entity. We do another query for everything with location. We can get our borrowed location, which is going to be query 1. The first item in here. Now, is that true? Absolutely, it should be, right? So let's see. Query 1, 0. We can borrow. Now you. Okay. Our location, we get our location, And then we are going to assert equal that location 0 is now going to be 30. So let's make sure that this makes sense here. We're going to delete a location. Strict comparison. Let's fix that also. This is an allow could be float compare. Okay, so that makes that happy. All right, so we're going to delete. We create two entities in here. We we delete the first. So we create two entities, and then we delete the first entity. So that would be this one is just gone. So if we query for this, we should only have one item that we can query for at that point in time. And so the first position of the queried item, which is going to be this vector right here, is going to be this location. Now, I create another component, and it should now reuse the same slot as this deleted one. And I think that's like the key here, is that after we delete that, if we create another one, we want to make sure that it's using the same slot. So we then do another query again, and now we should get two length, but the first one should no longer be this one here, but now this one. And that's what we're testing for. So if we run this, we're obviously going to get some failures because we haven't actually written the code. So here, delete an entity, panicked, insertion failed, left equals right, left is 2, right is 1. Because we have two entities, we don't even have the delete code in here. So let's go ahead and make sure that things are passing. So that's just right here. After we delete an entity, we need to be able to handle that. So let's come into entities and start the inner loop testing. So test function. This is going to be delete entity by ID. All right, what is this going to look like? Probably like very similar to like the other test here. So we're going to do entities. Okay, so we create our entities. We have to register a component. I don't think we need to do more than just one component here. So register a component, register health for this. Then we can create our entity. So entities, create entity with component. This can be health. And we'll just say 100. Okay, great. Now I want to be able to delete this. So we're just going to do entities dot delete component by ID. So well, actually it's just delete entity by ID. Delete entity by ID. We're going to give it the ID of 0. We're going to question mark that because of result. And then let's see. After that, we would expect the map for this to be, let's see, the map is now going to be a 0. So we're now going to assert equal entities dot map of position 0. We expect you to be 0. And that's it. That's our test for this one. All right, so you're upset because we don't have a delete entity by ID. Let's go ahead and add this function in. So index and the usize, and we'll return a result. That. And there we go. Okay. All right, so now this test should fail for us because right is, well, our map is 1 and it should really be 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can figure that out. So delete entity by AD, this should be really simple here. We should just be able to reach, like, we don't have to touch the components at all, because if we're deleting, we're just setting it to 0, right? So we have the index. We should just be able to do self dot map of index. We're just gonna set that to 0. That's it. That's all we need to do. Now, do I want to do that? No, I don't want to like directly do this right away, because what if this index doesn't exist? We're gonna get an index out of bounds here. So let's go into our custom errors and add in an error for this. Finally, we have a new one to add in. So in this case, we are entity does not exist. So the error here is going to be attempting to reference an error that doesn't exist. Okay, so now we can return this error if we're out of bounds for this. Okay, so the easiest way to do that is probably just like check our length and make sure that our index is within there. So let's do a now there's also like a get mute, and I wonder if that would be a little bit better. So let's try some like these other methods that we get out of vectors here. So if we do a if let sum, because most of them return options, and this is going to be like the actual like map, the map data. Let's see, map it's equal to self dot map dot. Let's do a get mute here. And we can see get mute returns a mutable reference to an element or subsize depending upon the type of index. So the index is just this use size. So we pass in that index, and then it's going to be a not if the index is out of bounds. Okay, awesome. So we do that. We can have our map now. So we're going to just do a dereferenced map, set that to 0. Otherwise, we want to return an error with a custom error inside, and that is entity does not exist. All right, and that's that. Otherwise, we return the okay. So now we handle that error properly. If we come back down here and we run this test, everything is good. Everything works. Perfect. Let's go ahead and wire up our main library to use this. So this is going to do self dot entities dot delete entity by id, pass this index, pass the error on through. If we come back to our integration tests, we should be able to run these, but we're still going to get an error. And that's because we now expect inserting new entities to happen at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and implement that in the next video. I figure we should just like keep each of these to one topic per video. So I will see you in there for reusing deleted entities. See you then. Bye.